Hey, good afternoon, Aftermarket Weekly. Well, it's actually kind of morning out on the good old West Coast. Good to have all of my friends out there in the California and the Pacific time zone. It's Carm Capriato, another Aftermarket Weekly sponsored by Dorman. Glad to have you here. We're going to head down to Augusta, Georgia, and CNC Automotive, and we're going to talk to Amanda Drake. Hello, Amanda. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Glad to have you here. We have a great story, a great family lineage business, and we just can't wait to talk about this multi-shop operation of five shops. And actually, I'm going to ask Amanda what is going on next because it seems like they've got a heck of a growth spurt going on. They have five shops, and we're going to see this one. This is a picture of, I mean, that's huge. Oh my. How many bays are there?
There's currently about 16 in use. There's some areas that are not necessarily in use just yet.
Well, excellent. Thank you for being here. We've got a lot to talk about today. If you're with us on social media, as always, check in with your city. We can see the comments here inside. Even if you're on YouTube, you can comment to us. Facebook, we'd love to know what's going out in the real world. And you can always watch this on our YouTube channel too, not only live right now, but repurposed as we go. We're coming to you live from the Dorman OE Fix studio. Every once in a while, I just come down here in my Carm cave. I have some new stuff to put up on the wall, and I got to work on that like tonight because that's my cool little wall. Anyway, thank you again, Dorman, for the great sponsorship. The aftermarket is filled with companies that make replacement parts, but few invest in design, engineering, manufacturing, programming, and testing like Dorman. They are home to hundreds of mechanical, electrical, and manufacturing engineers spread out all across the globe who ensure every part that is produced meets rigorous industry standards for performance. To do this, Dorman utilizes cutting-edge technology and equipment to test fit, form, and functionality of all their parts. Some of these tests include rapid prototyping 3D models for fitment checks, tolerance testing on both mechanical and electronic components through salt fog and thermal heat and pressure testing. Dorman drives their dedication to their engineering by including their in-house programmers who write and test new software solutions. Solving for a problem is what powers the innovation engine at Dorman. Dorman invests in these OE innovations to help you save time, your customer money, and prevent vehicles from coming back to your shop. Hey, to learn more about Dorman's engineering process, visit dormanproducts.com/tour. Again, thanks so much, Dorman. This Friday, Town Hall Academy 20 group peer review. This is really going to be cool. I think this could be a friend of yours, Amanda.
Yes, yeah, Brian. I know Brian really well. Yeah.
Cool.
When
Yeah,
I
he's
saw he did this, it was just a confirmation I definitely should do it too. He's a great guy.
yeah. Brian's a great guy, and this is ironic. I have to tell you, we sure didn't schedule to have you from Augusta on today, and Brian on from Augusta next week. But tremendous shop operators, and I think that's the point. I mean, you need to really be able to see all this great behind the scenes stuff. Hey, look, business started in 1977. Been there an awful long time. You're the president and the co-owner of CNC with your dad, Aaron. And a
Yes.
couple of things I know about your dad, he runs a radio show, and I think he has for years on Saturday morning. We're in Atlanta.
Well, it's actually syndicated, I think, in about 40 different cities across the U.S. at this point. So it plays at all different times. Here in Augusta, it plays Saturday mornings, 8 to 10 primarily.
That is so cool. I'm happy to hear that. Now, as far as we want to talk about growth, and they got five shops right now, and just go to the website CNC Automotive Augusta, Georgia, and check it out. They're beautiful shops. There's no doubt you're catering to a specific clientele. You have two shops in South Carolina, right, and
Mhm.
three in the Georgia area. Are they all around Augusta?
So 4 out of the 5 are very close to the Augusta area. You know, Augusta's right there on the border of South Carolina. So we have one shop that's just right over the edge there, about 6 miles. Our latest shop, we decided we were going to venture into a new market, and it's actually in Columbia, South Carolina. So it's an hour away from our other 4 stores.
Every time someone comes on the show and they mention things, my mind goes back to memories. I was at boot camp in Colombia at Fort Jackson
Mhm.
a few years ago. A few years ago.
Mhm.
So the Masters, I mean, it's the Masters, Augusta, the Masters, they're like connected at the hip. And you
Mhm.
haven't had the Masters there, what, a couple of years?
Yeah, it's this was our first regular tournament, and I guess it's been about 3 years now, and that's really caused some issues with our economy and slowed us down a bit. Not necessarily our industry, but the hospitality industry. And so it was nice to see that back in full swing this year, 100% back to what we've seen, and we just depend on it. Like you said, it's what we're known for.
Well, glad to hear off camera here. Amanda was saying, yeah, every house within 20 miles of Augusta gets rented out for the Masters.
Yep. If you want to rent your house, it really, 20, 30 miles is not too far to rent it. And
Wow.
here in Augusta, yep.
Okay, so you guys, you started your flagship store is a 35 bay location, and you've got, I mean, it's tremendous to think 7 ASE certified techs, 5 masters, 4 service advisors. It's a big, big place. And you took some time off, raised the kids, and now you're back full steam ahead, and you love to grow through acquisition.
Yes, yes, I do. That's really my passion. And this has been growing the business. So we established a second location in 2011, and I managed that for about 5 to 6 years. And then we decided to buy the third location, and that's the location we're actually going to tour today. That was our third purchase. And then from there, like I said, we purchased two more between 2018 and now. And I'm constantly looking and currently discussing or negotiating with a potential shop owner, and we're trying to expand to other cities as well. So we're that, like I said, that's just my passion. I really enjoy giving shop owners that don't necessarily want to continue in this business and want to retire. I like giving them an opportunity to do that. They come with their own staff and their own uniqueness, and I just love that. And I think my father does too. He's always been very passionate and supportive about growing the business.
It's so good to hear. Amanda, what are you seeing of the aftermarket is filled with companies that make replacement. What are you seeing? Sorry about that. I
Okay.
think I hit a mouse button by mistake. What do you see, Amanda, as the challenges from the other side of the aisle? You're looking over uh, profit and loss statements, cash flow statements. You're looking over marketing. You're looking over team, and of course, you develop an offer based on what you see, what you know
Mhm.
you can afford to pay. What do you see the challenges on the seller side?
I guess the challenges that might be why they're wanting to retire and get out of the industry is, so many of this generation. It's the same. A lot of them are the same generation as my father. They knew how to fix cars, but they didn't necessarily know how to lead a team and manage a business and read finances, and they've kind of had to stumble through it for many decades. And some have had a better success with it than others. Sometimes I'll talk to shop owners, and they're just tired of that struggle. And if you didn't necessarily enjoy that part of it like I do, and you just enjoyed working on cars and that's why you've been doing it this whole time, it can be exhausting, because you don't necessarily enjoy looking over a P&L statement. You don't necessarily enjoy negotiating your garage liability every year insurance. And I think that's kind of the challenge that they run into, and why they decide that they're ready to just get out of the business, because as we continue, it's just more and more of that kind of stuff that you have to do.
But are is the seller surprised as to, we've done shows on the podcast, and one in particular, I won $1 million for my business,
Mhm.
and I think there may be false assumptions from many sellers that they can get that kind of money for a business, as you said, they really didn't pay a whole lot of attention to. Are you finding that what is a fair offer is sometimes a shock to the seller?
I do see that, but we've also negotiated something that is fair to them and fair to their expectations. I've definitely started out with what is a legit offer based on what the business is valued, but then I've looked at the potential of the business. If I put my systems in place and the potential there more than justifies the difference that I would be paying right then, and I'm able to make them a little bit more satisfied too. I mean, you're taking their life's work
Yeah,
and wanting to purchase it from them and put a price tag on it. If I want to be fair to that, if I know that what they're doing currently is just a smidge of what it can be done, and it's not their fault, it's just that they haven't necessarily had the same training. If I know what I can potentially make out of that store, then I'm more than willing to negotiate so that they don't. I don't want anybody to walk away feeling like they were robbed of their business. I
right.
never want to purchase a shop that way.
So I'm a shop owner. I'm looking for some advice from you to what would you tell a shop owner who maybe in the next 3 or 4 years they would love to consider selling to a person like you who's on an acquisition streak. What's the message that you would give them? What should they do to prepare?
I would say just call me now and we'll talk about it. One, you do need to have financials in order. You need to be working with a CPA, an accountant, to make sure that you have profit and loss statements, balance sheets. You need to be, every deal that we've done, we've included the real estate with. So you need to have a lease agreement set up. You need to be paying rent if you do own the property as well. The store needs to be paying rent to you. And you need to just start documenting gradually the value of the equipment that you've purchased so that you have that equipment. You need to know how much inventory you keep. And I would say if it's within 2 to 3 years, I would go ahead and start making those connections with potential people that can help you or potentially buy the business in 2 to 3 years.
A timeline, Amanda. If it's great advice, thank you for it. And people are listening to this at the other end. Uh, how long has some of your acquisition timelines? Are they 3, 4 months? Are they 6 to 8?
The minimum is probably about 90 days from me, my first, and we have accomplished one in about 90 days from like the first conversation to takeover. The longest, I would say a year, year and a half process.
Especially if the if everything isn't in place, the seller needs to go back and do a lot of work to get everything in order that you need to see.
Possibly, yeah. Um, ours is was more delayed in the negotiation phase.
Okay, negotiation,
Yep.
sure. Yeah.
hmm
Um, this was great. I have only a million questions to ask you. We could do an hour-long podcast because I love your perspective as a buyer, and we've done shows like this, but it's always great to talk to an individual who's in that mode. I mean, you're in acquisition mode, and I'm glad for you. You've got a great company, and I'm sure all the people that you're bringing aboard, all the employees and all the customers appreciate it because what a great culture your business has. So
Yeah,
we want to
and
go ahead.
I do want to just say real quick that we have an absolutely amazing team, and we have key managers that have been there with us for 20 plus years that are just vital to the success and the growth. So I want to thank the whole team. We have over 50 employees now, and I just want to make sure that I mention all of them because they do an amazing job day to day.
Super. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. Hey, look we're going to get ready to tour one of Amanda's places, but we want to talk to you a little bit about some of the new listens from this week. New customer orientation from my friend Kevin Vaught from Elite. This was a great episode. We all know how important it is to bring to make sure that our new customers know a little bit about us. And Kevin and I chat about that great little process that he's talking about. At Vision, celebrating educators. This was an excellent show. I'm on my soapbox all the time about education and getting involved. This takes it to the next level. Matt Fonslow did a great episode on building and managing your training collection. And in fact, I was the guest on his show. And we just rapped about building training resumes. And of course, Hunt was on retirement options and tax advantages. It was a great show, by the way. The retirement options, it doesn't matter how old you are, you've got to do some of that planning. And Hunt was basically describing how you can actually put some money in some special accounts and save some taxes and plan for the future. Well, thank you all for that. Now, I think we're about ready to get down. And what's the name of the city that we're going to look at for this one, Amanda?
This is essentially Augusta, but
Okay.
specifically the Martinez area of
Okay.
Augusta.
Okay, cool. So, great curb appeal.
Yes, yeah. So this is Washington Road. It's the main road going through Augusta. So this has a ton of visibility. You can see that there's two different signs on this lot. It's about a 2-acre lot. This is about 15,000 square feet. Each building is about 7,000 and something square feet. So this is the main waiting room area. That counter right there is the counter that service advisors use to check customers in and out. It's not where they necessarily do their service writing task, but it's just a counter there to interact with the customer. And then you can see down that hallway is a restroom. This is an extra little waiting space. And this whole building it was a strip mall, and it was essentially 6 completely separate units that could be rented out separately. So this is the first unit of the first building, and these are our service advisors, Barry and Michelle. And if you go back through this door here, you're going to go into what we call like the command center. I'm sure you've heard um, that term before, but it's just like a dual side counter, and this is where the service advisor actual desk are. So I'm
Okay.
showing you the parts counter right there. That's where parts are checked in.
Let's stop the tape for right now, and let me go back to the FaceTime with the customer. Obviously, is in your showroom,
Hmm.
and I saw two service advisors there. But when they're really, if you will, rolling up their sleeves and getting into estimates and looking at the digital vehicle inspector, they're coming back, so
Yes.
they can see if someone walks in, and if not, they're equipped for all the work they need to do in the, if you will, that back office.
Yeah, and like I said, this style of counter is very common.
Yeah.
It's promoted through ShopFix, but you'll see their desk and how easily they have view to the front counter right there.
Yeah.
There's Barry's desk. And there's another computer right there that technicians can come in and write up their vehicles beside the service advisor so they can actively talk about everything. You saw that we had the cameras of the whole shop on the wall as well,
Mm-hmm.
displayed at all times. That's where the technicians keep their work orders. There's a tray for each technician. That's a little stocking room. We do not stock a lot. We are right beside an Advanced Auto Parts. And then this is our work in progress board we use TechMetric, so that the service providers can see at all times what each technician has and what status it's in.
Got it. Very nice, very clean, very organized, very modern.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and this store, like I said, it opened in 2018 from scratch, and it's going to be a 2.2 million store this year.
Got it.
So it is doing really good sales. Um, this is like a drive-in lane. And this is where the service advisors pull the car in to write it up. They put the floor mat in it. They check the mileage, and they just, that's where they officially write it up. And then the technician takes it from there when it's assigned.
You know what I find amazing? Stop the tape. Up north here, we don't have many of these lanes, and we need them because of the weather.
Yeah.
and here we are in Atlanta. And does the customer come in with that vehicle, or do you bring the vehicle in and start it?
We bring the vehicle in right now. Our goal is to get this to where it would be where a customer could just pull right in, but it's still being renovated. So right now, the service advisors just pull it in.
Okay.
That's those red carts are where we put the parts for the technicians. That was Marty. He's our manager of the store. This is the first technician area. So, like I said, this used to be 6 different complete units. And therefore, we had to create the doors between each section because they weren't there before. This place has been anything. It was traditionally made to be a repair shop, but it's been a dry cleaner, a recording studio. It's been everything under the sun. You just pass the alignment rack. I'm showing you our tool room. We have a cabinet full of scan tools. We like to have all the factory scan tools at all the locations if we can help it.
Hmm.
We do invest in, a lot of money every year in keeping those up to date. Like I said, this is the alignment rack in this particular shop area. That's one of our technicians, Jason and Ben. Um, but you can see, so this area, we usually have one tech in there, and then the alignment rack is shared. That's Nico. This is our tire equipment, our tire room, essentially. So they will, if they have to do tires, they'll usually use that lift right there. And balancer, tire changer. And then we go back through here to get back to the outside. And that's pretty much everything in that first building. There is another little office area in there. And then there's some space that's actually rented out right now to a doctor uses it to store files, and he pays us for the rented space. Because this shop's so massive, and we started it from scratch, 4 years ago. So we've gradually, we've used some of the space as rental for a while until we've needed it, and so
Sure.
eventually we'll probably ask the doctor, hey, can we have that space back? We're going to need to put some lifts in there too. But this is the next section of lifts, and Jason, who you saw earlier, he mainly works out of that area. We have replaced, there really was only a few racks in these buildings when we started, so we've put a lot of these racks in.
And
You're
all the
pat
doors had to be retrofit, right?
We've replaced most of the doors, yes. These are all new doors right here.
But was this designed for those doors, or you said it was a
Yeah,
strip mall?
it was a strip mall for many years. It's been around about 30, but the initial design was built around being a car repair center.
Ah, ah,
It never came to be fully.
got it.
This is
What
the
is
break room right
okay.
here. Yeah, so just the technician break room. That was Evan, y'all just saw. And
Yeah.
then Evan works out of this area right here. You can see he does a lot of transmissions. Um, and we have a couple oil change general service technicians that kind of work everywhere almost depending on what they're doing. So this is our latest project at this store. A glass center was renting this section out from us until last year,
Okay.
and we just recently got it back. This is a 4-car oil change pit. When it was in use, and it was really the only part of the building that was in use for car repair originally. But it was, doing 30 cars plus a day. I believe in like the 90s, roughly, is the only time they used it. And it hadn't been used since. But we are going to be opening it back up, and that shop is going to have a quick lube center, where you don't, you can wait in the car, get your oil change, in 20 minutes or less. And I'll show you in a second, but it has it's going to have its own waiting room area, and check-in desk. So this is going to be so you can come to this side of the shopping center for quick service. And then you can go to the other side of the shopping center for repairs. And that's going to be our goal.
Some great leads for the other shop.
Yes,
And
yes.
is it all underground tanks and supply? Is that what's going on underneath?
So they're plumbed to another room in the back
Okay.
that
All
you
right.
can't see. But yep, they are. It's all set up there, so everything's really easy to use. From that pit and from the top there. But really excited about that. Just a whole different model than we're used to, and allow us to give our customers a quicker service. We're not doing 5-10 minute oil changes because we want to make sure we're checking out the car
Yeah. Yeah.
100%. But we can definitely do it quicker than what we have traditionally with lifts.
Amanda, what are you using to communicate? You got two separate buildings, huge space, a lot of people spread out. Any special software or is Techmetric allowing you to communicate back and forth?
Well, we have radios, two-way radios,
Okay.
and that's definitely helpful. But we try to rely on Tetmetric and the systems as much as possible, so that there's not as much communication needed. That's when things seem to flow the best, is when you're not necessarily relying on the verbal communication. There's all these systems in place, so the service provider checks in a part and it notifies the tech that his part's there. The technician goes to his cart and the part's sitting on his cart. He writes up the ticket, and the service advisor, if he writes it up thoroughly, the service advisor is able to read over it without many questions. But we do use the two-way radios for
Okay.
a
That's
lot of
nice.
stuff.
The parts cart that I saw in building one, is that shuttled over to building two?
The red carts, you
Yes.
mean? Yes, if it needs to be. If it is something, and we do have a porter slash shop helper who can
Okay.
do a lot of that. Yep. If it needs to be pushed over because of the parts, then he can help with that.
2.2 million. How many people work in that building?
We have 10 there, I believe.
Got it.
10, yes.
Do you have an estimator or a parts person, or is it just the two service advisors?
Just the two advisors right now. We will be adding someone, and we've had a helper off and on over the last year or so. But it's definitely at a point where it needs a third person. So
It
we're
it it
looking at
sounds
other
it to me, and I haven't done any math, but you guys are really pushing some great production there, it seems.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, they are amazing. And Marty, that the manager, he actually helps a lot in all the areas.
Sure.
And I do a fair amount, or I have done a fair amount over the years there as well. One of my roles in the past, and I'm trying to put someone more in my place to do some of this, because I'm doing more and more coaching with shop fix, is filling in for advisors, since I have that service writer background.
Yeah, wow. How much fun it had to be. And again, I don't know if I'm speaking in or out of turn, but that you broke your teeth, or you if you will, being a service advisor at one of the stores?
Yeah, I started out at my father's store, our first store, writing service. I have a pre-med biology degree, and I was planning on going to med school, but I decided that I wanted to stay in the family business instead. So I started service writing and got my MBA at night, to do this instead. And I think I
Smart.
made the right decision.
Golly. Pre-med right in automotive service. Totally love it. What a great story, and you haven't looked back.
No, no, and it's been, constant learning along the way. I don't come from the technical background. My father told me all the ins and outs of an engine when I was probably only like 7 or 8. So I've always had the knowledge, but coming from a whole different perspective. And I will say this industry is like the friendliest industry out there. They've always, anywhere I've gone, everyone's always been so supportive of me and helpful in learning everything I need to know to run a repair shop.
This industry is on fire. I don't think we look at the positivity enough. I mean, there's a lot of negative out there. I know that in reputation, but when you look at the shops that we tour every week, and the fresh voices and the great young people that we've had on our show, and I'm including you, Amanda, it's so refreshing to be able to see uh, us working as an industry so hard for a great customer experience, credible cultures to hire rock star people in our place, give them a great living, obviously you guys must be charging a fair wage for a fair job done.
Mhm.
Uh, in Augusta, it's got to be a great community to have a lot of great customers. Is Augusta a high end kind of community?
Mm, not necessarily. If you were to look at it on like a nation standpoint,
Yeah.
it a little bit on the lower side. Um, but they're just they're loyal to their cars. You don't necessarily. I think we're middle class America here,
Okay.
and they take care of their cars, and that's what we are relying on.
Oh, excellent. I love it. So come back again, or if not, we'll get your dad and you to tour the big place. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God,
hi-
he would love it. He would love it.
his original, the 35 Bayer. We'd love to see what's going on there. So wow, this was great. Amanda Drake, the president and co-owner of CNC Automotive. Now don't forget, this comes out as a podcast, and it'll be this Saturday. This Saturday we'll put this out as a podcast for you can listen to it on YouTube. Next week, David Friend, Mobile Tech Wilmington, North Carolina, is going to be with us. We're going to have a chance. He's very big on ADAS. Many of you know David, so we're gonna just talk to him about ADAS and Mobile Tech and the training that he does. So thanks again, Amanda. Appreciate you having you on, and have a great week, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye bye.